Hello everybody, Ben Rogers here, the Raptors Digest, reacting to the Toronto Raptors 120-117 win against the San Antonio Spurs. Now, this was one of the most anticipated games of the season. DeRozan's return to Toronto after obviously being traded this summer. You know, if you want the full context for this game, we made a full preview for it, definitely check that out, but this, it certainly lived up to the hype. The Toronto Raptors, the Spurs, both came to play. DeMar DeRozan, Kawhi Leonard, everyone, the big names involved came to play. The teams came to play, and let's just get straight into it. And tonight, with all the storylines going on, you know, we said prior to this game, this was a playoff type atmosphere. We really wanted to see the team really show up like a playoff game. You know, the Torontos have struggled in the playoffs, they struggled in big games, and tonight that was not the case because the whole roster, I don't even think anyone had a poor game, maybe aside from Norman Powell, but let's get into our top guy, Kawhi Leonard. He had an off shooting night, so to speak. You know, Greg Popovich, he's played under him for a long while. He kind of knows how to scheme against Kawhi, but he still came out with 25 points, and, you know, there's a couple segments I don't want to spoil for later, so we'll leave Kawhi for now, but 25 points for him, played phenomenal defense. I was really happy with what I saw from Kawhi. Had some tough stretches, you know, the threes weren't going down, but still a solid game from him. But the first player I want to rave about, really talk about, is Pascal Siakam. He's really, truly come into this Raptors team this season and elevated his game to an all-star, to a level where he can be relied upon as a second option for a really good basketball team, especially on the offensive end. You know, Kyle Lowry, I think, is our second best player, but Pascal Siakam could be the second option in the offense. 22 points for him tonight, 7 of 10 from the field, 2 of 2 from the three-point line, 6 assists, and he did everything out there. He was scoring in the paint. He's been knocking down threes left and right and center, especially the past month or two. You know, he seems to get better and better with that shot as each month goes by. His defense is absolutely ridiculous. And tonight, the one thing that really stood out for Pascal Siakam is ability to create. I mentioned it, 6 assists for Pascal. His ability to just move the ball and facilitate on the offensive end has been very helpful in the development of his game. You know, teams are scheming from, obviously the San Antonio Spurs are one of the greatest scheming teams, and Greg Popovich can play game plan for any guys, and obviously they want to win this game badly, and Pascal Siakam really showed what he's got. And Kyle Lowry tonight, he's back. I think it's safe to say he's back. 17 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds. Ridiculous defense tonight. There was a lot of possessions where he ended up guarding Demar. And obviously Demar was, you know, into this game. He really wanted to play well. And Demar had a really solid game himself. 23 points, 8 assists, 4 rebounds. But Kyle Lowry had some ridiculous defensive plays, defensive stands, especially in the fourth quarter. You know, we're not alluding to any Kawhi doom like that plays. You know, we'll leave that till later in the podcast. But Kyle Lowry, he's a phenomenal post defender despite his size. You know, he's a shorter guy, 6'1", 6'2", but whoever's guarding him in the post, whether it's a big or DeMar DeRozan, has some of the best footwork in the league, and obviously he knows most of DeMar's tricks, but, you know, DeMar tried to post him up for a few stretches, and Kyle Lowry was having none of it. He was playing lockdown D, getting in. He knew where he was going, and I guess that's a point of them being so comfortable and knowledgeable of each other's games, but Kyle knew where DeMar was going to spin. He knew where he was going to go, and it's kind of funny to see him guarding DeMar one-on-one, and I'm sure it'll make for some great picks. If I can get it, I'll probably make the header of this video, but I probably won't get it in time. But Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan, that's a fun matchup. I wish DeMar was in the East so we could see that play out more often. Obviously, this is the first time two of them have played against each other since obviously becoming best friends. Kyle Lowry didn't play in that last Spurs game, and I'm just so amped up. I'm kind of ranting here, but the Raptors they came out tonight playing D, knocking down shots, and it was great to see. It was great to see them wake up for such a big game. And Serge Ibaka is another guy that woke up for this game, certainly. 13 points, 4 of 13 from the field. Not the greatest shooting night from Serge by any means, but, you know, 15 rebounds for Serge Ibaka. And our big addition at the trade deadline was Marc Gasol. He was supposed to come in, and I still would like for him to start. Didn't have the greatest game tonight, but I think his passing and all that's super phenomenal, and we'll get into Marc Gasol later. But Serge Ibaka, Gasol was struggling. He was in foul trouble. The Spurs just went at him like crazy, and Serge Ibaka really needed to carry the load on the defensive end, being the backbone of the defense, getting rebounds, and 15 rebounds for Serge Ibaka tonight. Hit some clutch shots. You know, he got a couple really nice rebounds, and Serge has been amazing this year. He's certainly just been an all-around guy. He's much improved from last season, certainly. Serge Ibaka, he brings it on a night-to-night basis, shows up in big games. Shout out to Serge Ibaka. But the big game hunter, the guy that, whether there's 2 minutes left in the game, you know he's going to bang a shot. You know, if there's a big game coming up, I guess the one exception was the Spurs game in San Antonio, but there's a lot of emotions charged in that. But our big game hunter for role players is Danny Green. Danny Green, 17 points tonight. Really, really bouncing back from the showing he put up against the Spurs the first go-around. I know he struggled in that game, certainly. But 17 points, 5 of 7 from the three-point line, 4 rebounds. When Danny Green is knocking down shots like that, it's tough to guard. Our offense is so free-flowing, and we get such good shots. When we can knock them down, when we can knock down the open ones, and Danny Green is one of the best players on our roster of doing that, the spacing just opens up for all the players. Kyle Lowry plays better. Kawhi plays better. The whole roster is just so nice. And Danny Green, along with obviously the points that the three-point shooting provides, but the Spurs have to adjust to that. The spacing on the court is just so much better when Danny Green and these sorts of players are knocking down shots. And the guy that's been, I made a video about him over the break. It was a week long. It was a long break, it felt like, as a Raptors fan. But I said OG Anunoby is going to turn it around. He's going to have a bounce back, stretch of games where he's going to bring it into the playoffs and all that sort of stuff. Tonight, it's one game. Obviously, we can't draw any conclusions or anything like that from it. But he played well. He had a very solid game tonight. 9 points, 3 of 3 from the three-point line. Not doing anything too out of the blue. He's playing within his role. And it's super helpful to this team because his defense, when he's fully engaged, is absolutely phenomenal. We saw him switch on to Demar a couple times too and really provide a solid showing on Demar. And 3 of 3 from the three-point line. Knocking down those open threes when we need them. I honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing OG just getting a few more touches when he's cooking like that. Maybe run some plays for him, just get him open shots. And he has a few slashes. I know he has 0 assists in this game, but he made a couple drives where there was nice dishes out, and he got a couple hockey assists. OG Anunoby, shout out to OG, man. He's gonna be a baller. But the guy that really stole the show off the bench, and there's no debating this, is Jeremy Lin. Down the stretch of this game, the Spurs kind of had not a stranglehold by any means, but they kind of had their fingertips. They had the grips on the game for a lot of the end of the third quarter and the beginning of the fourth. So the Raptors, before the starters come back in, they really need to have a push so they had some momentum going down the stretch. And the guy that really provided that was Jeremy Lin. Jeremy Lin came out to play tonight. He had a very solid first showing with the Raptors, once again providing great production off the bench. 11 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and those shots that he made, he was 4-11 for the field. But when he knocked them down, he knocked them down when they mattered. And I'm really impressed with his ability to just kind of weave through defenses, kick out, make smart kickouts. It's like peak Fred VanVleet. It seems like we've gotten the first 2 sightings of Jeremy Lin. He can knock down shots. Obviously, the three-point shots aren't going in. He hasn't hit a 3 yet. But the mid-range dribble pull, and that's something that I think is very underrated in aspect to his game because that Fred can't really do. But the dribble pull-up from Jeremy Lin, he had a couple of these nice little off-balance in-between game shots, and those are extremely helpful. That's a kind of DeRozan-esque. When you break down the first defender, the help side kind of sags, and being able to hit that mid-range jump shot is super valuable for a guard. So that's certainly going to get Jeremy Lin some open looks, some open shots. And his facility, he just knows how to run an offense. Jeremy Lin, we've made a bunch of videos on him already. He is such a key acquisition for this team, especially with Fred VanVleet out. It's super fortunate. We saw a couple games when Fred was out. We didn't have a backup point guard because the in-between time on those trades, and he's not in yet, all that sort of stuff. But the bench offense looks so much better with a point guard out there. I think that's fair to say. Patrick McCaw does a solid job at running, facilitating, but he's not a true point guard. I know he played in high school, but he's more of a wing guy. And Patrick McCaw came in and had a solid game as well tonight. He was out with a minor injury for a couple games, but no offense from him. Obviously, you want to see Patrick McCaw play a bit better on the offensive end, but his defense is absolutely ridiculous whenever he's out there. He makes the right plays. He makes the right shots. Shout out to Patrick McCaw. He knows how to play on a winning team. But, I kind of referenced it at the beginning of the podcast. We got to swing into the segments because the Kawhi you doing like that play of the day, one of the best of the season in my opinion. At the end of this game, Toronto Raptors down by 2, Serge Ibaka to the line. And, Serge Ibaka is a great free throw shooter. He can shoot the mid-range. Very, very phenomenal in that area. Makes the first one, swish bomb. That's the key one you want to hit. And unfortunately, we're down by 1. Serge Ibaka with a shot to tie it. About 20 to 11. I don't really know the time. But he misses it, bricks it. Demar gets the rebound. He kind of sprints up court. And obviously, I am a huge DeMar DeRozan fan. You can listen to the pods from last year, the preview pod. We love DeMar DeRozan, but the Raptors want to win this game. And nothing more signature. Nothing better as a Raptors fan. A purely Raptors fan could have happened to end this game. Some people, DeMar fans, would want a game winner, but the Toronto, it's symbolism. kind of symbolism. Kawhi Leonard and Kyle Lowry do an intelligent double team on DeMar DeRozan while he's dribbling up the court. Get the steal. Kawhi gets the steal, runs down the court, slams it home with, I believe, 11 seconds left. So not much time for a good shot for the Spurs, but especially with the defense we played. But I don't know. It was super exciting. Kyle Lowry and Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi gets the steal. The man that we traded for DeMar DeRozan. The man that has been taking all the heat. Our guy, Kawhi Leonard. He's our guy now. And I was so hyped. I was screaming at my TV. I was screaming at my stream. And honestly, no play better embodies the Kawhi you do him like that than that play right there. That sums up the name of it. Kawhi, you got to do DeMar DeRozan like that. On his return game to Toronto, you're out here stealing the ball from him, like, you and Lowry making double teams. You and DeMar DeRozan's best friend. Kawhi, you and DeMar DeRozan's best friend are stealing the ball on him, hitting game-winning shots, game-winning dunks. That's certainly a Kawhi you do him like that play. As a Raptors fan, I would have loved it to go no other way. I like that DeMar had a solid game, but I want to win in this game as a Raptors fan, and that was the signature moment of the season. In my opinion, symbolism, the defense is amped up, our superstar is a two-way guy. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so amped about this game. But not all plays could be the Kawhi do him like that play of the day. And some just make you say, oh, geez. And tonight, the oh, geez play of the day, it's going to Marc Gasol. Marc Gasol, he had a okay game. His all-around game was obviously phenomenal. He was struggling with foul trouble and hitting a couple shots, but certainly the oh, geez play of the day. It goes to his first couple jump shots. He got a mid-range jumper, and Marc Gasol is a phenomenal, especially inside the arc. He's a really good three-point shooter as well. So this is kind of out of the normal, obviously. The players, they are coming off an all-star break. The beginning of this game, everyone was kind of missing shots, but he got a shot at the elbow, kind of doinged it off the backboard, hit the rim, and it certainly made me say, oh, geez, the first time. That play made me say, oh, geez. And then a couple possessions later, he got the ball again, kind of hesitated with an open mid-range jumper. It was closer to the three-point line, but, it was a mid, and airballed it. Marc Gasol, two pretty bad misses to start this game. It was an unfortunate sight. Made me say, oh, geez. But to break into Marc Gasol's game, I'm sure a lot of people that, kind of half-heartedly or looked at the box score would say Marc Gasol was trash, especially with those two misses. But Marc Gasol is a really, really good passer. And even if he's struggling on the offensive end, which he rarely does, this was obviously even in his down season this year, this game was certainly an outlier. He's never really usually this bad at scoring. But the way he gets everyone going. I mentioned how Jeremy Lin kind of did a great job at facilitating, how he's really helped the bench. Marc Gasol does it in the same fashion, but at the center position. He catches the ball in the mid-post area, the low-post area, and he just gets people open looks. And he sends those passes. One thing that's an underrated skill about passing is being able to send it to the right target. Being able to throw the ball crisply right in the shooting pocket. And it seems like none of his passes are off target, except for one that was to Patrick McCaw, which is off the dribble bounce pass. That's a tough pass for even like Steve Nash or Kyle Lowry or any of those guys. But, that's an exception. But usually his passes, especially around the three-point line, he can swing the ball. He throws it really crisp. And I think Marc Gasol in the starting lineup, I know he's elevating the bench right now, but I think he could get the most out of our starters. I know our starters are playing really well, so maybe my prediction or my assessment is wrong, and maybe we should leave Serge in the starting lineup, but I think he could just get even more out of Kawhi Leonard, Danny Green, Kyle Lowry, Pascal Siakam. I think that's our best unit with 5 of those guys on the court, because Serge Ibaka is more of just a scorer. He's a pretty good defender. Depends on matchups, I guess. But Serge Ibaka, even tonight, he puts his head down. He takes a lot of shots. He doesn't really create for other people. And he does a lot of great things on the court. But Marc Gasol can do those things, but also create. Maybe not to as great of extent as Serge Ibaka has done it this season, as both of them have kind of aged differently. And, their games are evolving. But I think as Marc Gasol gets more comfortable, he'll prove to be the massive asset that he is when we picked him up at the trade deadline. But let me know what you guys think after watching a few games of Marc Gasol and Serge Ibaka now. Who do you think should start? I'm still rolling with Gasol as the starter, but Serge Ibaka, certainly you can't be wrong in this assessment. So let me know in the comment section below. And finally, the infamous, the one and only DeMar Carroll Gold Star Award. And tonight, the DeMar Carroll Gold Star Award, it's tough to give to anyone tonight. This game was just a feel-good game as a Raptors fan. DeMar DeRozan's coming home. I know Nick Nurse got thrown out, but honestly, that was probably to motivate the team because it looked like the energy was a bit low for a stretch, which is kind of random in such a big game. But Nick Nurse got thrown out, and he's not getting the DeMar Carroll Gold Star. The coach has stepped up. His name is slipping my mind right now. It's unfortunate, but he drew up some really nice plays down the stretch of this game. So shout out to him. It's unfortunate I forget his name, but regardless, the Raptors have some great assistant coaches this season, and it showed through tonight with Nick Nurse, getting a few T's, getting thrown out of this game. If I had to give it to anyone, it's certainly watching Marco Bellinelli play well. I think that's the gold star. For we want to change. We set out a poll at the beginning of the season saying how the DeMar Carroll Gold Star could be changed to Andrea Bargnani Gold Star Award. DeMar's taking a lot of flack and all that sort of stuff, but you guys like the DeMar Carroll Gold Star Award. We make the podcast for you, but his partner in crime for one season, actually DeMar's rookie year, Marco Bellinelli, was on the roster, and he's a three-point specialist. He knocked down threes throughout his career. He won a championship with the Spurs, was huge for Philadelphia last season, was great for the Hornets when he was there. Everywhere he's gone, he's hit threes except for Toronto. Absolutely trash in Toronto, and we could make a Bellinelli Gold Star, but people don't really care about him. So the fact that he hits threes, he hit a big one down the stretch with the DeMar pass, that he gets a Gold Star just for his sadness, him making me sad as a young kid watching the Raptors. But yeah, there's so much we could talk about this game. I'm sure I'm missing a lot of stuff. Norman Powell, he could also get a complimentary Gold Star because he made some great takes tonight. He made some right decisions. I don't think he had an awful decision-making game, but there's like 3 or 4 bunnies that Norm missed that he's been making the past couple months. So hopefully he gets back to hitting those shots. I'm certain he will. Jakob Poeltl, he had a great game. DeMar Carroll Gold Star could also go to the Spurs for not giving Poeltl more minutes throughout the season because he's a baller. He's a legit baller. He can get rebounds. 9 rebounds for him, 8 points. I really like Yak. He had a nice block on OG as well on a dunk attempt. He got a little video himself as well. Yak. I miss Yak as well. I miss Yak, DeMar, all the guys. This was such a fun game. It's nice to see everyone back. So many former faces. DeMar DeRozan, and shout out to the Raptors fans. No boos. I said if I heard one boo, I'd be quite angry. I'd be mad at Raptors fan base because DeMar DeRozan has done everything for this team, and it was a very welcoming night. And one thing that I did find kind of funny was when at the end of the game, obviously Kawhi, I mentioned the Kawhi doing like that play. He got the steal and he was at the free throw line, I think, at the end for the free throws. The game was over. The game was sealed. There's like 0.2 seconds left. Kawhi had a couple free throws to really, really ice the game. And yeah, the fans started chanting MVP, and DeMar DeRozan was there. And obviously the MVP chants have been roaring out for Kawhi all season, and he deserves them. But it must have been awkward for DeMar because he used to get them with the Raptors. Maybe not as many as Kawhi because he wasn't as at the caliber of player of Kawhi Leonard, but there's just one thing I noticed, and there's so much happening in that game. But let me know what you guys think. You're the best for making it this far. Check out the Twitter, the Instagram, all that cool stuff. The Raptors out here winning games, out here getting W's, and I'm so excited. This was such a good game. Couldn't have went better. Anyways, check out the Instagram, Twitter. The guy that runs our Twitter, Danny Lovelace. Shout out to Danny. He was actually at this game, and he got a video of the fans cheering for DeMar. So check that out on Twitter. It's super, super exciting game. Super happy for DeMar. Super happy for the Raptors. And let's keep this win streak going. Anyways, I'm signing off. Cheers.